Shooting USA is brought to you by SnapSafe and the full line of Trek-Lite lockboxes. Affordable security for home or travel. Get 15% off with code SUSA15 at snapsafe.com. To the victor belongs the fame. There's no question, John Browning's 1911 government model that was indispensable in World War II and has continued to become the most produced handgun design of all time. Less remembered was the enemy pistol designed halfway around the world that would be the Japanese sidearm of World War II. Designed by a general in the years before the war, the Nambu Type 94 is now one of history's guns. History remembered and sponsored by the Civilian Marksmanship Program. The Army of Japan called this semi-auto pistol the Type or Model 94, adopted in the year 2594, if you mark time by the imperial calendar. That's 1934 to the rest of us. World War II was still 7 years off, but the war machine was kicking into high gear in the land of the rising sun.
Well, when the Type 94 was adopted, the Japanese were not being particularly agreeable to a lot of their neighbors. They were definitely an army on the move, there's no question about it.
An army bent on domination, and one of the firearms this army adopted was the Nambu Type 94, designed by a former imperial officer, General Kajiro Nambu, who also invented the Type 14, Japan's larger, more powerful pistol.
It's a handful. It's a Luger-sized pistol, and they wanted a smaller gun to handle their little 8mm cartridge, which by any means was not a barn-burning cartridge to begin with. So Nambu came up with this wonderful little recoil-operated lock-breech pistol.
The new small Nambu was issued to Army officers, NCOs, and other troops like medics or machine gunners who wouldn't normally carry a rifle. Japan built 71,000 Type 94s leading up to and through the war.
The early guns are finished quite well, and like a lot of other Japanese guns, as the war progressed, the quality of the gun fell off dramatically. The late Type 94s, they have plain wooden grips on them, and the finish is quite rough.
But Gary's was built very early in the conflict and shows signs of real quality workmanship.
One of the odder looking pistols, a lot of people complain about the shape of the grip, but for my hand it fits perfectly. It's actually very, very comfortable. I mean, I'll hold it in my left hand, you can see it fits perfectly. Now, guys with big hands have a real problem with this gun, but there probably weren't a lot of Japanese with real big hands.
The Type 94 holds 6 rounds of the Nambu 8mm cartridge. That is roughly the power of a .380.
It's a bottleneck cartridge. Not ballistically particularly inspiring. At close range, it'll do the job. Compared to a .45, it's a non-starter.
In fact, Gary once put the 8mm round to a simulated battlefield test and found it wanting.
We fired it against a U.S. GI helmet, and it actually didn't even penetrate the helmet. It dented the heck out of it, but unless it was fairly close range, it didn't do much damage. I was surprised.
Good news for GIs. A lack of knockdown power aside, Gary believes the Type 94 was a reliable military sidearm. But he does have one big problem with it.
This is one of the gun's most maligned and rightly so features. And you've got an external sear, and if this is pushed, it can actually discharge the pistol.
Gary demonstrates the flaw with an empty chamber.
And when you push on this, you can hear it discharge. When you release the safety, it can be easily pushed and the gun discharged by accident,
with potentially fatal results. The Nambu had a bad reputation with America's GIs who called it a surrender gun.
A Japanese soldier would come up to you with his Type 94 and he'd present it to you, muzzle first, holding it this way, and then theoretically he would push the thing and he would kill his captors and whatever. Well, apparently this never happened. It's a good story, but there's no verified case of it ever happening.
Even so, the pistol is a very real threat for accidental discharge. And for that reason and others, the Type 94 is not likely to ever get rave reviews.
Maybe one of the ugliest auto pistols ever made. And it has a design flaw or two in it. But generally speaking, it's a pretty serviceable little pistol.
The .22 Advanced Rifle Cartridge easily outperforms all other .22 caliber cartridges in its class, producing .22 250 performance in an AR-15 platform. The .22 ARC is engineered to take full advantage of the most aerodynamic .22 caliber bullets. This means tighter groups, increased accuracy, and an exceptional shooting experience. .22 Advanced Rifle Cartridge from Hornady.
Thanks again for tuning into the Shooting USA YouTube channel. We hope you enjoyed the content. A couple of notes. Make sure you take advantage of SUSA15 at snapsafe.com. That's our discount code that saves you 15% on anything from SnapSafe, and that gets to be some big money when you start talking about modular safes and vault doors. Also, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new content. As always, a like and a comment helps us with that algorithm.